Making a performance laptop really thin is super hard. I was once told by an engineer from a laptop company that at a certain point, if you want to shrink the height of a laptop by another millimeter, it's an extra $1 million in R&D. It's very difficult to do. And the thing is, a lot of companies chase it. They want to make these thinner and thinner devices, and it comes with problems, right? You get thermal issues, you get keyboard issues, you get just limitations with the device when you go super thin. But every company chases it, and last year, MSI was guilty of it. They made two devices, I got them in, they were way too thin, the performance wasn't great, I didn't even cover them. But this year, they didn't fall into that trap, and they made these devices so much better. So first we have a gaming device, the Ghost GS77, which is a little bit thicker and completely redesigned. It's so much better. And there's also the newly updated Z16P. So this is also a little bit thicker with the vapor chamber, and it's a way better experience than it was last year. So let's start here, the GS77. It's an all new design, and honestly, I think it's about damn time, because every year I've reviewed the Ghost GS whatever, it feels like the company was always so tunnel visioned on weight and thinness that it just took away from the product. It just made the build quality suffer because of that pursuit of thinness and low weight. This time around, both the top and bottom panels are much more sturdy, and the hinge, even though it's mounted a little bit closer to the center, it is a very solid feeling hinge. Supposedly it's got some zinc alloy for the components inside to make the hinge, but you can just tell when you open and close this thing, it just seems like a properly built hinge. But the more prominent example of like better build quality is the C panel, like the keyboard deck. Every year when they make a Ghost product, this deck up here has some kind of perforation or grill where the airflow goes in. They've completely redesigned the thermal system so they don't need to rely on a grill anymore, and just the top panel is just so much better. It's something that's bugged me forever about these devices. It's good now, finally. The internals this time are also a more traditional layout. So in the past, the Ghost products have had this flipped motherboard, which I think kept the device a little bit thinner, but it made serviceability much more difficult. This time you have access to both RAM slots, your drives, your Wi-Fi card, you have access to all of it, and you can see that there's two big fans instead of a series of smaller fans, and I think it helps just with the entire thermal system. The keyboard's also been completely revamped. It still has a number pad on the right, but the keys are just a little bit more square, more chiclet, a little bit larger. It's a nicer typing experience to me. The RGB lighting is controllable in the software, but it's not a particularly bright or vibrant series of RGBs. It's, I don't know, more muted than you would expect on a device like this. The trackpad's a little bit bigger this year, and I don't think there's anything I would complain about. It's a kind of average trackpad. There is a fingerprint sensor on the right, which I don't love the aesthetics of it, but it's there if you need it. Now let's talk about performance. This is running a 3070 Ti with the 12700H from Intel, and it's a great performer. It's really good for 1080p gaming. It's great for 1440p gaming. The GPU, however, isn't the highest wattage option out there. So there's going to be devices out there, usually thicker, that will have better performance with this same GPU. But I think they've done a really good job balancing performance with the thickness of the product. And what's also interesting is the fan noise. So traditionally when it comes to this product category, like the Ghost GS products, they have loud fans at the top end. And it's not something you can avoid, right? Super thin device with hot components, you got to crank the fans. This time around, it is so much quieter than I expected. Now, on one hand, I like that. I'm someone who appreciates quiet systems, and this is a quieter gaming laptop. But on the other hand, this is MSI. This is a company that so frequently pushes their systems hard and loud to get the best possible performance, and I'm surprised they capped this GPU at 105 watts. Like, I felt like if you squeezed the fans a little bit harder, it could have gone another 10 or 15 watts. This system does not have a mux switch, though. I mean, some people get super sweaty about this stuff. For the games that most people are playing at this type of resolution, a mux switch isn't super important, but it still would have been nice to have seen. The panel itself is a really nice gaming panel. It's not as color accurate as the creative devices, but it's super fast. Response time and refresh rate are top tier. It is a 16:9 aspect ratio though, so you do get a pretty sizable chin. I personally like this type of aspect ratio when it comes to gaming laptops, but everyone's different. And there's also a 1080p webcam up top. The port layout is also quite different this year. They really did change everything. You got 3 ports in the back. So you got your AC adapter, your HDMI port, as well as your Ethernet. And these are the ones that you don't disconnect and reconnect frequently, right? This is just stuff you have plugged in or not. And that's just, going out the back of the device, keeps your sides clear. And then all the removable stuff goes on the sides. So you have 2 USB-A, 2 USB-C, and a full-size SD. But the overall product is just way better than the Ghost line has ever been. It's like finally properly made for a gaming device. Now, I honestly think that they went down this trap of like the pursuit of thinness and lightness And it just made the whole like manufacturing and engineering process for this product line stupid. Like they were just trying to chase something that was not achievable. And I think every year people complain like, this is a great device, except it's not well made and the thermal issues and there's limitations. It's all gone. I think they fixed so much stuff of it this year. It is a big device. If you're looking for a 17-inch device though, this is a really solid one. Also the pricing. So I don't know exact pricing yet because it's pretty early on in the launch cycle. But from what I've seen, this thing starts at $1,800. And when it comes to thin performance devices of this caliber, that's actually definitely one of the cheaper ones. All right, that's the GS77. Next up, where did I put it? I'll be right back. The Z16P. And this is a device that's a little more my speed. So this is a great gaming device, but it's also a great device for content creators. So last year they had the Z16. Cool looking device, very similar aesthetic to this, but it was really thin to the point where they could only put an RTX 3060 in it, and that was capped at 65 watts. This year, a little bit thicker, vapor chamber. Now they've bumped up that GPU limit to 95 watts, and you can get up to a 3080 Ti. It's just a way more thermally capable system. Now, what separates this device from the average gaming laptop out there is two things. First is the design aesthetic of it. It's a much more kind of elegant looking, more muted, kind of matte gray finish to it. It's got a nice kind of machined, elegant look to it, but it's the screen. This is the main difference between every other gaming laptop out there. So this is a 16:10 aspect ratio screen, but it's got amazing color characteristics. It's super color accurate, very bright, but it still has a 165 hertz refresh rate. So it's awesome for playing games on it. Now it is a glossy panel. I don't know if you can catch it. Yeah, you can see that reflection up there of the light. It is a glossy panel and it's like MacBooks, right? They have like the glossy finish. It's something that not everyone's gonna appreciate. And if you're playing games on it only and you have like super bright environments and you can't control the lighting, then this can be annoying. But for me personally, I love glossy screens. I've done videos on this in the past, but it's just the option of having really nice color. Like the moment you put on any kind of matte finish, you're just throwing a diffusion layer on the screen, right? And just colors are gonna be less vibrant. Having it glossy like this is, I love it, but everyone's different. Now for creative work, this is awesome. And also this screen goes all the way back. So if you have the pen, you can use it for digital illustration and you have a nice glass surface to work on. And if you'll notice when I open and close the device, you can see the hinge just kind of raises the device for some better airflow on the bottom, but it's a overall way better performer than the Z16 last year. Now, performance-wise, we're looking at a fast CPU and a fast GPU, but because this GPU is capped at 95 watts, it isn't gonna be as fast as that GS77. But for a 15/16-inch device, this is a very solid performer. Now there is the same perforated grill at the top of the keyboard like last year's device, but the Z series never had the same build quality issues as the Ghost GS products did. So this has always been a very solid feeling device. The keyboard isn't my favorite, like it types well, but it does feel a little cramped to me to have a number pad on a 15-inch device. The trackpad, this has a nice texture and it's a nice size, it's big, but there's a weird friction when you click on the pad. I don't love it. Not that this is super important, but it's something that is not ideal when it comes to this particular trackpad. Okay, the internals. There are 2 NVMe slots, 2 RAM slots, and the traditional 2 big fans. The fan noise is actually very quiet. Now, MSI usually doesn't have super loud systems when it comes to their creator devices, and this one's no different. But the overall product is quite different in profile from like their gaming devices. If I had to kind of make a recommendation, if you only play games and that's like what you do, I would never pick up one of the creator devices. The advantages that you get with this, like the screen and the nicer build and the kind of different aesthetics, they just make no difference for gamers. If anything, having a 16:10 aspect ratio screen is arguably worse for gaming. But if you make videos or you work with photo or any kind of video content or just any like visual content, this is a way better screen for that. The other thing is battery life. The Z16P doesn't have a huge battery, but battery life is a little bit shorter than expected. The GS77, the Ghost, that has a fairly average battery life for a device like that, but overall, these are so much better than they were last year. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. I'll see you guys next time.